Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the gym. It is your guy Boulanger. Up next on the GM, the stretch run, assessing the Baltimore Ravens schedule. Do me a quick favor, hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Let's talk about it. So we are basically 1 week past the release of the Baltimore Ravens 2024 schedule, and right now, after 11 games, I have them sitting at 7-4. Now we understand that a host of things could happen. We could have injuries to our team. We could have injuries to teams that we're going to face. We could make a big move at the trade deadline, although I don't know when that date is. But the fact of the matter is, I have them having already lost 4 games while they get accustomed to what life is going to be like in 2024. The adjustment to the line, the adjustment to having Derrick Henry, the adjustment to um, adding a rookie deep threat, the adjustment to Patrick Queen in, Trent Simpson out, the adjustment to um, the impact of Nate Wiggins and TJ Tampa in that secondary, which I think should be really good. And so I think that this is when we hit our stride. Just like last year, it was around week 11, week 12, where the Baltimore Ravens started going downhill on teams and um, imposing their will. And so I think that that's what happens when we go into the matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers in LA. I think we go into Los Angeles, although they have um, uh, some athletes on defense. They have some athletes on offense. They have a good quarterback, so on and so forth. I think the Baltimore Ravens roll into this game with an advantage. I think that the Chargers will be trying to figure out who they are under Jim Harbaugh, basically the whole season, as they have totally revamped their wide receiving room. They've changed in the backfield, and they changed a few parts on their defense. And so I think we will come in having figured out who we are and what we're going to do. I think we come into this game, and our first initiative is going to be to run the ball downhill against the Chargers, who haven't always been great against the run. They have two good edge rushers in Mack and Bosa, and they have some other good defensive parts. But I think we come into this game and we do what we want to do against this team in the second Harbaugh Bowl, if you will. I think that it'll be super competitive at first, but I think that the Baltimore Ravens begin to pull away as we get late into the third, early into the fourth. I think the Baltimore Ravens win this game. I'm going to say we put up 30 points against this team. I think they come out with 21 points, and I think we get out of LA with a win, moving us to 8-4. The next game up is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles in Baltimore. And I think that this is going to be a matchup of two evenly talented teams. We understand that the Philadelphia Eagles had some trouble in the secondary last year. They had some trouble with injuries on defense, so they put an effort uh, to kind of rebuild and retool the defense. They also added a nice weapon in the backfield who's also a good receiver in Saquon Barkley. So I think they're going to be even more talented this year than they were last year because I think certainly Saquon Barkley is an upgrade over DeAndre Sweat. They have a really good offensive line, and I think this is one of those games where it's going to be a shootout of sorts. I think that I think that with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goddard, they have the weaponry to press us defensively. But I also think we have the weaponry to press them defensively. And so, meaning our offense against their defense, I think this will be a game that easily gets into the high 20s. And I think that I think this will be a game where you're going to see the running backs, both Henry and Barkley, have a huge impact. I think that this game could get a little bit shaky for the Baltimore Ravens only because we have had trouble and we do have trouble playing against mobile quarterbacks. And we understand that Jalen Hurts is a mobile quarterback. I think the Baltimore Ravens actually lose this game in Baltimore against the Philadelphia Eagles. And probably something like, I'm going to say they lose something like 30 to 28, 30 to 27, something like that. And so then we move to 8-5 going into our bye week. And that's fine. It's fine to, I'm okay with losing going into a bye week because it gives us an opportunity to kind of look back and see, what was good, what was bad, what we need to implement, what we need to throw out. It also allows us to set the table for the last 5 games. Um, It allows us to implement new schema. It allows us to um, mend some injuries, and it may even allow us to get some people back who had been lost to injury, meaning, when you go on injured reserve, you have to be out a minimum of 4 weeks and things of that nature. So I think we come out of the break and we're ready to roll. In fact, I'm predicting that we come out and we blow out the New York Giants right after the bye week. I think we go to New York, and I think we run and throw all over the field. Not because New York's not a good team, because they have been building a really nice defense. I think they're going to be scrappy. They're going to be tough. And I don't know if Wink Martindale is still there or not, but if he is, I do expect him to blitz repeatedly in order to get Lamar Jackson off of his game. But I do expect the Baltimore Ravens to get out of New York with a victory. The last three games are all AFC foes, all teams who could be in competition for the playoffs, and some teams with Super Bowl hopes. And so, first up is the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think that um, the Baltimore Ravens win this game, right? I think the Baltimore Ravens learned from the early season mistakes with that loss against Pittsburgh, and I think that we utilized the crowd, allow the crowd to fill that stadium with energy, allow the crowd to get behind the team, and I think we play with more poise. I think in that first game we lose because we have a couple of turnovers, but I think in this game we turn the tables and we force some turnovers. And I think it's still going to be a defensive battle. I think it'll be hard hitting. I think it'll be super competitive, but I think we do get the advantage on Pittsburgh in this game, as they probably have already switched from Russell Wilson to Justin Fields. I think the Baltimore Ravens get out of this game 24-17. And with two consecutive wins, I think, if I'm thinking correctly, I think we are now 10-5, right? The next game is going to be the Christmas Day game in Houston against the Houston Texans. Uh, I think that this game will be pretty evenly matched as far as talent versus talent. Although the Houston Texans have put together a really elite level pass rush, which has me having a lot of concern. They have a nice young secondary. And so when we look at our offense against their defense, I think that we're going to have to execute, right? I think this will be a game where we run right at them, meaning between the tackles, not trying to get off the edge against those edge rushers. And I think that this is one of those games where you get 4 yards and you go back to the huddle. You get 4 more yards, you go back to the huddle. I think that's going to be this kind of game, downhill smash mouth type game, because the Houston Texans will certainly be well improved from last year's team. I think when it's our defense against their offense, I think we're going to have to be poised. This is a young guy who does not make a lot of mistakes. This is a young guy who is going to be probably taking a step forward from his rookie campaign. This is also a young guy who has a number one tight wide receiver in Stephon Diggs, who is going to help elevate this offense. So I think this is going to be possibly a high scoring affair. I think it could get into the mid 20s pretty quickly before the defenses make an adjustment. And I think that the Baltimore Ravens do get this victory. And I'm going to say we get this victory something like 30-27. Uh, I don't see a real way at this point in time on how to stop the Houston Texans offense, as they have added veterans and a lot of and some depth. Had a solid draft, and I equally don't know how they stop our offense unless we make mistakes and that edge rush gets home against Lamar Jackson. But with all things being equal, I think we get out of this game 30-27. Then we close out with with a home game against the Cleveland Browns, and this is probably going to be a divisions deciding game. The Baltimore Ravens would be sitting at 11-5, and I think that we do get this win against Cleveland. I think Cleveland would have seen a couple of different quarterbacks up until this point. I think Tyler Huntley could even be the starter, depending upon Deshaun Watson's health, and I think that this will be a game that Cleveland comes out and tries to run the ball. They try to lean on the defense, run the ball, keep the score low, keep our offense off of the field. But I think this is another game where we run right at them. I think when you have a team or teams that have good edge rush, I think running the ball right at them could mitigate some of that pass rush, and then throwing the ball over their heads. So let me know what you guys want me to know. Is 12-5 right for the Baltimore Ravens, too high or too low? I'm your guy Boulanger, and we're out.